Mitzvah kind of different mess is deraisa or derabanan. You learned the Perek? You finished it, right? It's like the end. Yeah. So, is it deraisa or derabanan? You don't know. Where's the pasuk? You don't know. Unbelievable. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. So it's the first Taisus and Ksubas that's Rabbanan. Last line of Taisus Pevava Med Aleph and Ksubas. Kaifim Mitzvah Rabbanan Kigoyim Mitzvah kind of Rames. He brings it as a ride. There's Kviya on Yorshim. Okay. Oh, Moshe, we're waiting for you. You're like the Messiah. That was morals and ethics. Now let's learn. Okay. Okay, so this is a lot of information which can be taken in many different ways. I'm probably going to need 2 days for this, but we'll start now the way it is. We'll start first of all with one simple aspect to undo a certain somewhat anomaly. In your first page on source Aleph, you have the Minyan and Mitzvahs of the Rambam Hilchos Krishma. The Rambam writes, "Hilchot Kriyat Shema Mitzvat Aseh Echat, V'yi Likro Kriyat Shema Pamayim B'yoyim Ubir Mitzvah Zu B'Pro Kimeilu." The Rambam only mentions one mitzvah there. Period. You know, there's no other mitzvahs aseh discussed in this chapter. Rambam then continues in source Beis in Hilchos Kriyat Shema, Pamayim B'Choyim Korim Kriyat Shema Be'erev Uba Boker. It's a lach of kriya. It means you have to read a parsha in the Torah. And we have to do it the evening and the morning. Shene'emar b'shach b'chad at zman shchiva, u'b'kum b'chad at zman kima. B'shosh sheder b'nei adam sheichvim v'zehu layla. B'shosh sheder b'nei adam oimdim v'zehu yoim. Halacha number 1. What exactly is called Kriyat Shema? So it's a mitzvah aseh to read Kriyat Shema. What is called Kriyat Shema? So he writes, Ma'u Korei. Now he doesn't say, it doesn't have to be dafka that is the overall chiyuv of mitzvah d'oraisa. I want to put this on the table before we go further. I don't know if you know this, but Shittas Rashi and also probably Shittas Rambam is that the Ikar Din d'oraisa is only in the first pasuk, or maybe the first parsha. Rashi points out that clearly in the beginning of brachas, that you're yotze Kriya Shema with Kriya Shema Lamita, and Tais asked the question. The first Tais in brachas, not everyone learns, right? In brachas, we all start Daf Yomi, then we give up after a week. But so if you learn Taisvis, so you know the first Tais in brachas discuss how can be yotze with Kriya Shema Lamita. You only say the first parsha. And Shittas Rashi is you're yotze with the first parsha. Now the Shai doesn't mean the first parsha, the first pasuk. I'm not going there, but that's the chur what it is. That's Zikr d'oraisa. What's the rest? That's a tzura d'Rabbanan of how to do what you're supposed to be doing in the first parsha. It's an additive. They added to it. Now let's understand, when they add, that means they're broadening it out. I have to explain one thing which is clear before we go further. In any din d'Rabbanan, there's innately, there should be an issue about Tosif. They're not allowed to add things on their own. It's before Shirambana, La Torah, and Baal Tosif, and Vayschana. The only thing that they're mutter to add is either from the pasuk vasistem mishmerestem mishmarti shmartem. There's a pasuk the Rambam and brings in Sefer HaMitzvahs, and also the Ramban and the Shrashim. They're mitzvah to put the gedorim that we should, like zeros, etc., that we shouldn't transgress the dinim d'oraisa. For example, muktzah or basar oif b'chalav, or things like that, which are zeros, the shmira, the mishmarti, that they're mandated to do. There's no issur about taisiv. What about creating new mitzvahs which are not a shmira? What's the heter? So the only heter is because what they're doing is not creating something totally new. They're extending or applying either a biblical halacha or a biblical value. This is a mefursher, well, it's also Rambam at the end of Minyan HaMitzvahs and the Akdama to the Yad. More than that, it's also very clearly, it's also Rabbeinu David Bonfield, Talmud Aran in Sanhedrin. If you really want to know, it's in Daf Pei Berach over there, where he writes it specifically, and the Rambam also writes it quite clearly, that the only heter, based on the Gemara Megillah, the only heter they had to make Purim and the Mikra Megillah, which is not Mishmeres to Mishmarti, because since there is an ancient value in the Mikra of praising God for Nisim, not a tzivui in the Mikra, there's no tzivui in the Mikvah for praising God for Nisim. There's a value in the Mikra. Where do we see the value? The Jews said Shira Alayah. Now, clearly, it doesn't say anywhere they were Mekayim a mitzvah. I hope you understand that. I know there are people which create from that Gemara, they misguide it and misconstrue it and make it into mitzvah d'oraisa, which is really funny, to say the least. There is no mitzvah anywhere as far as that's concerned. There's a mitzvah, it doesn't say it anywhere. It's a value. Because if you're going to bring the raya from Kriyas Yamsuf, there was no tzuva before. The Gemara makes the kal v'chayra, mami mavis l'chai shibud l'gula. You say, thank you, koshke mi mavis l'chayim. Is that a din d'oraisa? The chatchila, the shibud l'gula was also not a tzivui. So the most you can do is you extrapolate a value. We see that they had a value called shvach al hanes. Probably, what is that? That's actually an extension of the mitzvahs I say of Avos Hashem, because the Rambam writes in Hilchos Yisodi HaTorah. I hope you write this down because it's not in your sheets. Perik Beis, Halacha Beis, when he describes Avos Hashem, so he describes what is the key in mitzvah of Avos Hashem, that he loves God enough. There's Mishabeach Umfa'er God. So Shvach ve'Empiyur, his Parut of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a key in the tzur of mitzvahs Avos Hashem. So the chiyuv, if there is a din d'oraisa of thanking God, it's a tzura of Avos Hashem. So what happened? We expressed that Avos Hashem by thanking God for Kriyas Yamsuf. So we said, Mali Mavis L'chaim, there is this value out there. Not that they were mitzuvah, because they weren't even mitzuvah in Avos Hashem then. The tzivah is Avos Hashem only came in the last 5 months in the desert. It's in Parshas V'eschana, for goodness sakes. They didn't have it Kol Arbaim Shoina. There was no tzivah of Avos Hashem. I hope you know that. Right, according to the Chumash, okay, at least if we accept the Bible as Bible, so that's what it says. So there was no tzivui of Avos Hashem beforehand, so it was a big ein mitzvah v'aisa. They simply did it because it was a value. Why did they get the value from? Because they understood the value of Avos Hashem, and this was a value. Now we have a biblical value. We extrapolate on that value, and we say, well, if there's a value of shvach, thank you for mavus l'chai, mivashibud l'gula, it's definitely also mivus l'chai. That's a kal v'chomer, extending a value. Now that you have that value, the rabbis can legislate that value. They're not making up something new. They're extending or legislating or broadening out a given biblical value. It's a very important thing. Now, biblical values are normative. Biblical values are you're expected to do. It's not as if it's something out of the blue. It's not an option. It's, so you know that's the will of God. That's what you do. It's mimenu yir v'yishmo. I mean, to the extent that the Rambam writes in Nevuchim, Chelik Beis, Perek Lamed Vav, that prior to Moshe Rabbeinu, there was no Navi that commanded anybody anything in the name of God. At the most, what he was commanded was to teach the will of God to the people. Noah was not commanded to tell his children they are commanded to do X amount of mitzvahs or to refrain from Averos. Yaakov Avinu was not said to command his children that they should not eat Gid Anasha. Avraham Avinu was not commanded to command, he was to teach them the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The commandment started from Sinai. Actually, from Moshe Rabbeinu, from Chodesh Zolachem. That's Rambam. You can look at Chumash from today to tomorrow. I suggest you read, all that is written after Sinai. Read Rambam, Perek Mer, Nevuchim, Chelik Beis, Siman Lamed Vav, Perek Vav, if I'm not mistaken, it should be there. Okay, so one must understand that basically there was no tzivui, so to speak, until then. Yet we know there's a chi of Misa. Anshe Shechem were killed because they didn't fulfill the dinim of dinim. Rambam writes this in Hilchos Malachim and also the Ramban. So obviously we understand that knowing the Ratzon Hashem is imperative and binding, even without the relationship called commander, commanded, commandment. It's called, the truth is binding. Whether you like it or not, whether you've been commanded to fulfill it, the truth is binding inherently. And if the truth, it means the objective truth, the revelation of the will of God. If the revelation of the will of God, if God is true, so his revelation of his will, if it's a true revelation of his will, well then if you know that's his will, that's binding. It's simply what the Rambam formulates in Hilchos Shuvah Perek Yud Halacha Beis, Oseh et ha'emet mipnei shehu ha'emet. The truth is binding. Take away commandment, the truth itself is binding. This seems to be the idea behind this shira. It's not a mitzvah in a proper sense, a choiva in a proper sense, but is it binding? Yes. And since it is binding, therefore now we can legislate it and make it into a chayva, into a proper commandment, into a proper film. That's a din d'Rabbanan. Rabbanan can take a value of deraisa and make it into a legislated commandment. We're not doing a philosophy class. What's the difference between just fulfilling a will and fulfilling a commandment? I'm not going into the depths of it, but it's quite simple. One of them is talking about a relationship, and the other one isn't. Commandment is a relationship between commanded, commander, commandment. Okay? Just fulfilling my will, I may not even know you exist. So there is a major difference. Is there a yachas between the 2 points or not? The mitzvah can be a bridge between 2 points, or the mitzvah, or the value can be something I understand this is a truth and I'm going to fill it. I'm dealing with myself, not with God. Rasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a value which I must heed because it's a will of God, not because he even talks to me or care or you express that this is the truth. This you must understand. So in other words, all dinim d'Rabbanan have to be either lemigdar milsa, or they have to be an elaboration on at least a biblical value. I say this there for nafkamina for Yom Ha'atzmaut Mustama. So the idea of saying Haidah or Nes is a biblical value, but it's not a biblical imperative. I want you to understand that if you read the Gemara Megillah, you'll understand it, because the whole source is the Haidah of Shir Alayam. If anybody thinks they were Mekayim a mitzvah there, raise your hand and let me know about it. I'd like to know where the pasuk of the tzivui was. Maybe in Mitzrayim, I didn't see it in the Chumash, and I don't think it's there. So therefore, we come to the conclusion it's not there. That's a very important thing to start with. Okay, you must understand. Just another point so you hear Anshe Shechem. They didn't have a commandment, but it's binding. Okay. I once gave another daf for this, according to Shitas Rashi, that the Ramban points out clearly that Shitas Rashi is that there is no religious imperative written in the scripture saying that you must live in Israel. Ramban points out that Rashi thinks so, and I can add the Sforno also thinks so, and also add probably almost all the Rishonim think so. There's only one Rishon which says that the pasuk is to be described as a religious imperative, and that's the Ramban. But everyone agrees it's an overwhelming value. You're allowed to divorce your wife and not give a ksuba to live in Eretz Yisrael. Or she can do the same thing. There's no such mitzvah like that anywhere. So there's a whole 2 pages in ksubas which talk about the value. So that what you would call a religious value, which has not been constricted, I'm going to use that language, to the language of commandment. I guess it's really up to you to live up to that value. Okay? I think it's a heavy load. You know, it's easier just to do a commandment. You just check V and you're done. To live up to a value, you actually have to identify with it. Okay? So that is the mitzvah. If there's a mitzvah, and the Lashon Chazal is found as mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Here, Gittin. Kaisav Lavainai. Right? So Lamaisa, it's called b'makam mitzvah. Where's the pasuk? Only according to the Ramban, it's a pasuk. Where's the pasuk according to Rashi? People ask me, why doesn't the Rambam bring it? Because the Rambam is chumash like Rashi. I say, why? You think everyone's the Ramban's cousin? What do you want from him? The Ramban himself said that Rashi argues with him. I can tell you, look at the other Meforshei HaMikra, they also argue with him. So if that's the case, the simplest way of understanding all this, yes, of course there's a din that you can divorce your wife. The Gemara also says if you want to live in Jerusalem and she wants to live in Ra'anana, you can divorce her too. I don't think anyone thinks there's a mitzvah haseh to live in Jerusalem. I just want you to know. The Rothenberg said it's only Bizman HaBayis. Why? Because Bizman HaBayis, you're closer to the Shechina, you're Shemayim. Those are values. There's no mitzvahs haseh, lit karev, a few more kilometers to Makam HaShechina. We're talking about a religious value, which is binding to the extent that it's not a commandment, but it's normative, and we're expecting you to do it. And if you don't fulfill that, ad kedei kach, you can cut relationship with your wives and don't get penalties for it. And she can do the same thing. She can force you to give a get, and she'll get her ksuba. You want to stay in Ra'anana? I'm living in Jerusalem. Now, no one's thinking there's a mitzvah asay. No, chayiv adam loger. It's like chayiv liyusha psuma b'puria. Chayiv adam loger b'Yerushalayim. Ain't kazeh davar. It's not chayiv. But it's an overwhelming value. I repeat, one has to remember that when he talks about Judaism, I'm going to see in a minute why you're going to see this also here. So therefore, when we use the lashon of mitzvah, do we mean mitzvah means commandment, or can mitzvah also be a language meaning value? Broad question. Mitzvah, mitzvah, which is Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, learned in Gittin. We use that language. That's why we're Mata Shvus, right? Guy, you write on Shabbos, because the mitzvah is Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. No, you're not going to learn that, so you're only according to the Ramban. I mean, that's like childish. Okay? Rashi also has something to say. And since we take for granted, you haven't found in the Rambam, not in the Miyanim, it's in the Yad, to say that there's a chiyuv to live in Eretz Yisrael. See, I understand not the Miyanim mitzvahs, but if there's a chiyuv, where's it in the Yad? The only thing he brings in the Yad is that you can divorce your wife. I know that. That everyone agrees. It's a Mishnah. He doesn't bring it in the Yad. Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring it. He brings Hilchos Trumas and Maasros. Doesn't bring a chiyuv to live in Eretz Yisrael. The Torah says, no, it's more than a chiyuv. It's a value. It means you not only have to do it, you have to identify with it. That is a very, very important theological statement. Very chashuv statement. It's the same, so when I see the word mitzvah, it doesn't have to mean a mitzvah d'oraisa. There are times that the word mitzvah is a mitzvah d'rabbanan, but then it has to be an extension of a value d'oraisa. So here I'm going to try to explain what is the mitzvah found in Daf Yud Daled, or the Tesvav, the beginning end of the Perek, of mitzvah l'kayin divrei hames. We'll start with this. I want to start a shtickle gittin and make a siyum of the Perek. And the answer is very simple. The Makar is a Ramban. But the Ramban is not found in the Parsha. It's interesting where it's found. There's a sefer of a Talmud, a Rashba, called Drashot Reb Yeshua Ibn Shu'eb. Ibn Shu'eb is a very famous Talmud, a Rashba. I took it off Hebrew books last night. Okay. I'm going to quote Vayechi. He has drushes on the Parshas, and here's a drush on Vayechi. And I'm going to read it to you. V'katav Rav Rabbeinu Moshe bar Nachman, Zichrenu Levracha, Lefi Darkenu Lamanu. Now, this is not found in Ramban al Torah, so obviously he had his own text. Lamadnu asor dvarim be'iyin hames mizeh asipur sheYaakov. V'yesh lanu la'achos darko. We should follow that. No chiyuv, and follow. Ke'elu inyanim heim liyotam remez labanim. If this is written in the Chumash, it means you should understand, I'm talking to you. When God writes something in the Bible, it's perpetual. It's there to show that there are values. It doesn't say chayva, but you have to learn, you have to do these things. And what are they? It's from him we see what is the correct thing to do, and you should do it too. Now that doesn't sound mitzvah, or doesn't sound, it sounds like brush your teeth, because Kadeshim to you means a profound person, so the Ramban says make sure you brush your teeth. Or wash your face, okay? I don't think you have to say Yishem Yichud Kutshabrichu when you brush your teeth in the morning. Try Colgate. No, you don't do that. So, Elamai, you understand. It means to say be a person which cares about profundity, which would include, obviously, personal hygiene, and therefore living that type of a lifestyle shows that you're indicative that you're type of a man, okay? It doesn't mean you don't have to, does the Chassidim put on a gargle when they go in the shower? It wouldn't work too well. For a mitzvah to go into the shower. You know what I mean? It's like, you have to, it's a b'yisah. Like covered Shabbos, the mitzvah is the shower, the mitzvah be mechabed Shabbos, which is expressed by that. If this isn't simple, you didn't learn a word here. Okay? This is the b'yisah. Okay? So no one has to say the Shem Yichud when you go in the shower. I'm sure the mikveh is something else, but that sounds holy, because that's chicken soup in there. But showers are showers. Okay? So what does this mean? So the Ramban says, the Torah says, you learn from Yaakov Avinu, v'chein yishmu v'yiro. Kishar dvarim shelamad mimenu, k'mo shekatav l'parshas vayishlach Yaakov. And here the Ramban enumerates a list. First of all, ha'echot tzavah. It's important to write it to give a last testament. We see from Yaakov Avinu, he gave it tzavah l'banim. And it didn't say that tzavah doesn't mean to say how to split the dough. Now, tzavah of Yaakov Avinu is to give an educational, spiritual last directives. That's what he writes before. V'chein nogu achrav k'shematzinu b'David v'yitzav v'shleim mitzvah l'kayim divrei hames. Bingo. This is your mucker. From Yaakov Avinu, dichsiv v'yasu banav loy kasher tzivam. There's a value here. We see the Torah wrote it down. That means there's a value of being Mekayim Divrei Hames. He doesn't say because it's part of Kibbud Av, like some people want to say, or something like that. No, we learn from Yaakov Avinu. That's the mucker. No, it's not a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. That's a Mefurish Tais I just read you. The last 3 words of Tais Peivav Amid Alvin Ksubis. It's not a key mitzvah d'Oraisa of Kibbud Aveim. It's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. What's it based on? On a value that we learned from Yaakov Avinu's children that they did it. And Milman Yishma Mimenu Yilma Deviyiro. That's the Hagdorah of Mitzvah L'Kayim Devrames. Okay, I just want to. That's a very important Yisai to remember. But how would you know it if you wouldn't know even Shoaib? It's reprinted already, so now they have the book in normal form. I just don't own it, so that's why I went to. I didn't see it in this, believe me. I saw it when the book came out years ago, but this is I don't have it, so I downloaded this. So that's very important. Mitzvah L'Kayim Devrames. Pshat is it's a biblical value which has been legislated midrabanan. So the word mitzvah does not even have to mean or mashal. Pri is bal choif mitzvah. You put on a gartel when you pray bal choif. What does Rashi say? Hen shechot tzedek. You have to be an honest person. Honest people. Their word's a word. Therefore, they pay their debts. So is a key a mitzvah d'oraisa when you pay your debt, or is the mitzvah to be an honest person? Hein shechot tzedek, lav shechot tzedek. And a person which is honest pays his debt, because you said you would. That's what it is. Pri bal chayv mitzvah, okay, it's a kfiyah. What's the kfiyah of the mitzvah there? The kfiyah is also on a religious value that we bring. It's not the pshat in the mikra. It means respect. Hein shechot tzedek. Hein shechot tzedek means, al pidin, it means measurements. Hein shechot tzedek, v'lav shechot tzedek is already expanding on it. You need to have honest you need to have honest measurements. You shouldn't cheat. It means to say you should be a person of integrity. That's how Chazal extended it. Integrity includes keeping your word, and therefore you pay your debts. You have to understand how this works. It's not one of the drushes of the Yud Gimel Midas Shatur. The drushes, the Hin Shechot Tzedek is translated into an Aramaic word called Hein. Okay, you understand? Hin is a measurement, a biblical measurement. Hein is an Aramaic word. So no one thinks this is one of the Yud Gimel Midas Shatur. It's not a drush or gemara. It's like it's a usage of a pasuk to expand on a value. If anybody doesn't understand that, what can I do? It's a bias bekutcha. Okay, in the strict ideas of Yalfusis, it doesn't work. It's a din of measurements, not a lachas tamazoi. There's other reason for lying or other things. There's an issue of lying. The din deraisa is lying for mammon. That's another halach. These are different halachas. So this is clearly, once again, it's a din. It's an extension of a rabbinic extension of a value. Whether it's also a chiyuv d'Rabbanan or not, that's another shayla. It's a value which is mechayiv, no question about it. Okay, that's what Taisa discusses over there. Pri bal chayv mitzvah, whether we're koif on a din d'Rabbanan or not. That's exactly what that Taisa in Pei Vav is talking about in Ksubis. Once again, mitzvah. So there the mitzvah means, obviously it's an obligation. We're commanded to fulfill biblical values. In light of this, I want to see a Rambam over here. So you'll notice when the Rambam talks about religious imperatives, he calls it mitzvah saseh. The word mitzvah does not have to mean mitzvah taseh. That's not enumerated in the list. It doesn't even mean religious imperative. It means Jewish religious biblical value. As they pointed out, mitzvah, mitzvah l'kayin divrei amesh. These are not biblical commandments. Now let's see, when the Rambam talks about things which are a biblical commandment, he always writes mitzvah saseh, mitzvah lo saseh. When you just use the word mitzvah, you have no reason to think that there has to be a mitzvah aseh d'oraisa. Now let's read Rambam. Rambam started Hilchos Kriyas Shema and said there's a mitzvah aseh achat in this whole book. And that's to read Krishma. No other mitzvot aseh at all. Now let's read the halacha. Source Beis, halacha Beis. Ma'u koreh, shalosh parshiot elu. Shema, goes together with Vahafta, that's Parsha B'Shayna. V'hoya'im Shemaya, number 2. And then Vayoyim. Umagdimin likreis Parsha Shema, the first Parsha, which is Shema and V'Ahavta. Mipnei sheyesh b'yichud Hashem, which is Shema. Ahavasa is V'Ahavta. V'Talmudai, and learning, which is Shinantam. V'yudvorm Eila and V'Shinantam. Shehu equals these three combined. Ha'ikr ha'gadol sha'kol tolui boy. This is the principle of all religion starts with. Yichud Hashem avosai v'talmudai. Which is obvious. Because the only way to get to you, any Avos Hashem must be directed to us. It must be a comprehension of what Yichud means. For that, you have to read Rambam and say, for a mitzvah, I'm not going to do that now. This is all found in the halachas, mitzvahs, Aleph and Beis. Anochi Havai Elokecha is Yichudai. Lo Yechel Himachem. Those are two things which mean Yichudai Yisborach. V'ahavta is like is a few lines down. I think it's the third or fourth mitzvah. And Talmudai. These are the things which bring you to a love and a connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's the Ikar HaGadol Shakol Tolibay. V'achareah, after you have the basic concept of Yichudai, interesting. So Talmud Torah is not seen just as part of a mitzvah, of mitzvahs Talmud Torah, like all the other. Talmud Torah is seen as the way of comprehending the Yichud of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avos Hashem is dealing with the Yichud of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's taken Talmud Torah out of the realm of regular commandments. You can read this further if you want in Perek Nun Beis and Nun Gimel in Moreh Nevuchim at the end of the book, where he discusses this basic idea of that certain things are for Yira, certain things for Ava. You can see it there. Okay, but this is what he writes here. That's number one. Then he continues and says, "V'achareah," and after you finish dealing with Yichud Hashem Avosei v'Talmudai, v'hoyim shemoy sheyesh b'tzivui al zchiras shar kol hamitzvos. It's actually, the word schira is a bit problematic. It's put in parentheses for a purpose. I think the Gershon Nechaim is utzivi al shar kol mitzvahs. Except for Avos Hashem Yichud v'Talmud, there's also the rest. Now, the truth of the matter is, Talmud Torah is there too. Right? If you remember, Limadtem. There's no question about it. But so there's Talmud Torah as part of the broad corpus of mitzvos, but there's Talmud Torah which precedes that, and that's actually found there. If you look carefully in the Yad, where is it found? Hilchos Talmud Torah. It's in Sefer Amada. Tshuva, Talmud Torah, Avodah Zarah, Deos, and Yesod Torah, that's Sefer Amada. It's interesting to see that. It's only after Brachas, Tefillah, Kriya Shema, that's already found Sefer Hava. So you understand, this is what we're talking about. B'achakach Parshas Tzitzis. Why? Shegam I yesh bat tzivui zechiras kol hamitzvos. Now that's a tzivui. What's the tzivui in Parshas Tzitzis? Is it tzivui of zechiras kol hamitzvos, or tzivui of putting on tzitzis in order to remember the mitzvos? Does anybody want to read the Chumash? Or isim oisem uzechartem is kol mitzvot Hashem asitem otam. Okay, that is to justify, to explain the purpose of putting on tzitzis. Or leman tizkeru. Okay, leman means do this for the purpose of. Is it describing a commandment or describing a purpose? Well, you can't be deaf and mute. It's clearly describing a purpose. So when he talks about tzivui here, it means tzivui zechiras kol ha-mitzvahs. It doesn't mean a mitzvah saseh in any normal sense. It means there's a mitzvah, certain mitzvah we do in order to enhance the memory of this Kabbalah Sol Malchus Shemayim. That's what it means. The tzitzis are there for that purpose. The Bach Taka says this la'alacha. The Bach says that whenever there's a mitzvah which has a laman to it, that kavanah is ma'akev in the mitzvah. So if you put on tzitzis, my dear boys, this morning, and you didn't think laman tizkru, I'm sorry, I suggest you do it now, because until now you weren't mekayim a mitzvah, you weren't mevatel and mitzvah saseh, because there's tzitzis there, but the kiyum of the mitzvah should be with a laman. You know, you didn't walk around without tzitzis. You have tzitzis. But the mitzvah you didn't do yet. So I suggest you should now be mashvish with tzitzis Yosef like you do with tefillin. You think Laman Tizkuru. It's just like the same thing with the tefillin. It's supposed to be Laman Tiyateres L'Shem B'ficha. Do you know that? Do you say V'oya Kiviyacha? Does anybody do that? Like you wake up early enough, you should. Okay. Yeah, we're not supposed to finish all this stuff till after Rabbi Shmuel. But at least most of the stuff. Okay. So Laman. Pshat is you're putting on tefillin Laman Tiyateres L'Shem B'ficha. That has measure of K'mis La'alacha as far as that did. So that the Bach says anytime it says Laman, that kavan is me'akiv in the mitzvahs. I do suggest start reading Chumash to find out where there's a Laman. Or Sukkos, he writes it by Sukkos. Laman Yeder Dor Esechik Sukkos Teishul Bnei Yisrael. You have to have that kavan, but they'll pay Sukkos. It's a Moed Kulam. You can sit in the sukkah and eat kugel, and you're not mekayim a mitzvah. It's frightening. You don't have to, as frightening this can be. Because I think this is a very important thing to teach everybody, Erev Leil Sukkos, or every morning before davening. Tefillin needs a laman. Tzitzis needs a laman. Maybe they put that in the recording when they wake you up or something like that. Okay, this is halacha. Okay, this is so far. This is pashta din. This is at the Bach Shita. Will we pass in that way? No. I know it says it's das yachid, but is anybody that openly argues with it? No. So I don't know. We all know this way. We should. So the Laman is l'chera ma'akif. So what's happening over here? So I don't see there a tzivui for zechira. I see there a matorah of doing mitzvahs in order to do that. That's a siba. It's a siba for the mitzvah. It's not a tzivui for zechiras ma'isa mitzvahs. Okay? So when you use the lashon tzivui, already we know we're talking about siba and not a direct imperative. Do we agree when we read this Rama? I don't know. If you don't agree, tell me. I think it's obvious too. Okay, you didn't. This is the first time you're looking at it. Okay, you look at it again. Weiter. Halacha Gimel. Afal pi she'em mitzitzitzes neges balayla. There's a Gemara brachas, for goodness sakes. The end of the parak, the first parak. Kairin oisa balayla. In other words, why would you want to read something which is not negea? Well, I don't understand really the question. What do you want? So, and if it's not negea, so I read Talmud Torah. The question is, the question was, the only time you're reading it because you're being Mekayim a mitzvah. Tzitzis, so you're saying Parshat Tzitzis. Why would I want to talk about the mitzvah of Tzitzis? So maybe he thought, because Ika Yuchad Kavos Shemayim includes also Tzitzis. How do I know that? The Gemara says in Brachas, it writes to the Kabbalah of Malchus Shemayim. It says, Yifane v'yirchetz yadav. Then there's some gears there, v'yisatef, v'yaniach tefillin, v'yikra krishma, v'yispalo. So the idea of a beged miyuchad l'tefillah, which is the tzitzis, the way it's brought down in Rambam, the derech chachamim to wear tzitzis is dafke b'shas tefillah. Okay, it's Rambam Hilchos Tzitzis. So we understood that maybe you read so you're being Mekabel Al Malchus Shemayim with Kriya Shema. You're putting on tzitzis because that is part of the deal. So you're being mefarish your mitzvah. This could have been. So it says no, that's not the reason. In other words, we're not saying Kriya Pasha Kriya Shema because we're explaining the mitzvah of tzitzis. It is true that the mitzvah of tzitzis is conducive to Kabbalas Al Torah, Kabbalas Al Mitzvahs, which is what's found in Kriya Shema. But why are we saying Vayomer? So he says that's not the reason. The reason is Mipnei sheyesh bo zikaron Yetzias Mitzrayim. And therefore what? And here he adds words. U'mitzvah lahazkir Yetzias Mitzrayim b'yom b'layla. Yeah, can someone show me the imperative? Does he mention it anywhere? If there's a mitzvah lahazkir Yetzias Mitzrayim b'yom b'layla, would he bring it only in context of explaining why I'm saying tzitzis and Kriya Shema? Wouldn't he put down a halacha somewhere in a normal sense? It's clearly not a mitzvah asay because he doesn't mention it in the beginning of mitzvahs. He doesn't say this halacha. There are two mitzvahs asay: A, Kriya Shema; B, mitzvah l'sap Yetzias, mitzvah l'izko Yetzias Mitzrayim called Yoy Be'erev B'Layla. He clearly doesn't see that as a mitzvah asay. That it would have been enumerated in the Abdamis in the Miyana mitzvah, the beginning of the Sefer that we just read in Source Aleph. It's clearly not there. Now the question is it because maybe this is a broad mitzvah, so it's not enumerated in the list of 613? Maybe it's missing something in one of the shroshim, or no, it's not a mitzvah to begin with. Well, the acid tested, would it be found normally anywhere in Rambam? To bring it nonchalantly, since, first tell me the din outside of the mitzvah of tzitzis. You're not telling me the din, you're telling me to justify Pashas Kriyah Tzitzis, for goodness sakes. Is that how Rambam writes his book? Rambam writes his book in a normal way. He points as a mitzvah, and that's the reason why we say Vayomer, that I can relate to. But there's no way he introduces a new mitzvah d'oraisa, which is not part of the million of mitzvahs, and mentioning it derech Avga when he's explaining why we say Parshas Vayomer B'Layla. With greatest respect, if that's pshat, okay, I guess the word pshat has relative meaning. It's pshat that's not pshat. I say this because a very common discussion discussed. It's not. It's a mitzvah. It's not a mitzvah asay. And look at the language. It's beautiful. Does it say mitzvah asay? Lahazkir Yetzias Mitzrayim b'yom b'layla? It doesn't say that. When it comes to the mitzvah of talking on Pesach night, what's the lashon of Rambam? Look at source Daled. First 4 words. Mitzvahs asay shel Torah l'saper, etc. He even points out. Remember, it's shel Torah, not D'Rabbanan. It's a mitzvah say. Well, I'd like to hear Rambam say anyway, mitzvah say shel Torah lizkir Yetzias Mitzrayim b'yom b'layla every year, every day. If you find it, I'll need, a lawnmower. It's not there. Okay, I did the book. N. N, categorically non-existent. You can Google it if you want, or Oitzer Chachma, Oitzer Dus, Oitzer Ayens, or you can just learn it. Okay, it's not there. Okay, and b'chol kitvei Rama, I'll tell you even more than that. You know, not even in the Tshuvas. Okay, it's not there. It's a Helam Das. It's not even Shaykh. Of course, what's the pshat in Rama when the Rama used the word mitzvah? I tell you what it means. It's like mitzvah the kaim divrei hamesh. It's like priyas balchayv mitzvah. There is definitely a religious value. Now, where's the pasuk? Where is the pasuk of l'saper yitzias Mitzrayim? What's the pasuk? Shenemar. Read it. L'man tiskor yom tzeischem Mitzrayim kol yemei chayecha. What that pasuk talking about? Now I need you to answer my question. It's a reason for what? You say it in the Agada. That's the story of Elazar ben Azariah. By the way, l'man tiskor yom tzeischem kol yemei chayecha. What that pasuk talking about? Get yourself a chumash. Tell me. What pasuk is that? The man Tizka Yom says, you have your phone there. No, Moshe, where is it? What? Yes? Come on. No, wait. I need this to be a touche, you understand? So there has to be a dramatic thing here. Why don't you Google the pasuk? Want to Google the pasuk? Or you can open brachas if you want. There's ways of understanding Chumash, right? Either through Google or through brachas. Can we all agree that the Laman means that's the purpose of X? What? What? I don't hear you. You have it?
Yeah.
Where is it? What's the pasuk? Isn't that so nice? Now, is that a mitzvah or is that a justification of? Hello? It's the man tizkru and tzitzis, right? So is that a justification of a mitzvah or is that a tzivui? Do you usually take justifications and make them into religious imperatives? For goodness sakes. There's nowhere in the Talmud that says it is. Oh, the word mitzvah is used. But the word mitzvah, as I just told you before, it doesn't have to mean an imperative. Also, mitzvah l'kayim divrei hamesh, which pashtus is masha from the Ramban, that's not even a din d'Rabbanan. It's only a halacha of fulfilling a value. Taish learned that value is the basis of a din d'Rabbanan. L'chayr, it's a machlekes Ramban and Taisvus. Okay? But in the Raisa, b'chayim shecha lo yitoseh. No, I stetach mitzvah. Mitzvah is Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. I just told you, outside of the Ramban. Where's all that? Oh, it means to say, is it a mitzvah d'Rabbanan? I don't know, maybe it's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. I don't know, that could be. But not a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, but it's a value d'Oraisa, which is so big. There's like 2 full pages on that in Ksubis at the end, it's like a heavy value. It's like, whoo. I don't know of one little mitzvah that gets so much just moral, ethical, hitting you in the head on. It's very important. Should I go on? I mean, you guys aren't Jewish enough according to the Talmud. You're in a bad place if you live there. What can I tell you? I'm going on the last Shabbos in this. I'm going to be in Atlanta for Yom Ha'atzmaut Shabbos, scholar residency, from the RZA, they're flying me in, you understand? So here goes my pitch. You know what I mean? Yeah, Eretz Yisrael, rah, rah, rah. But it doesn't say it'd be religious imperative. In my eyes, it's more. It's a value that you have to identify with, okay? For me, that's Pasha, okay? But at the end of the day, so the word mitzvah doesn't even have to come close to an idea of a tzivah, even d'Rabbanan, for goodness sakes. So when the Rabbi writes, so mitzvah ask Yitzit, where's he coming from? We know that's Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because there's so many mitzvahs to make us from. Should I show you how many mitzvahs are there to Zechar Yitzias Mitzrayim? It's across the Chumash. So many mitzvahs are Zechar Yetzias Mitzrayim. It means to say it's Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we should remember Yetzias Mitzrayim. Well, Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a value, as we learned, like Gora, then mitzvah for the Kaim Divra Amesh. It's Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's like the Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Sheva Mitzvah Bnei Noach prior to the Tzivui through Moshe Rabbeinu, and that was Machayev you, right? Anshe Shechem got themselves killed because of that. Rabbeinu Nissim Goyen writes in his Akdama to Shas. You know, in the beginning of Shas Vilna, there's these little letters. Thank God now they have Oiz V'Hoder, so it's a bit more readable. Rabbeinu Nissim Goyen, read like the first column there, where he described that Sheva Mitzvah Bnei Noach are Machayev, not because of a Tzivui, because of Seichel. It is Seichel Yosher, that's what God wants. It's called Derech HaOlam. No? That's Machayev. Ad Kidei Chiyav Misa. More than Kula Alma. That's why the din is, if you want to be a Ger Taishav, the Rambam Paskins, you can't do it because of that. Rambam says a Ben Noach, which keeps Sheva Mitzvahs, not because of the Tzivui from Moshe B'Sinai, just because of the history. Ein Ze Elami Chachameim. He's one of the wise people, because he has good values. But he's not Mekayim the mitzvah. He has to be Mekayim it because of the oil, the Tzivui, which now they're Mitzuvan because of Moshe Rabbeinu. Rambam writes it in Mefurish. A Ger Taishav, he's just a nice guy, keeping things, not because of a commandment, because he's a nice guy. He doesn't like Avram and Achai. He can't handle that. He's not a pagan because he's an atheist. Ich weiß was, and so on. And he doesn't kill people because he's a nice person. He's sorry. There's no mitzvah la'achiyai, so he's not a Ger Taishav. A Ger Taishav needs dafka Kabbalah's chaverus because it's Tzivim Sinai. What's the why? Because you're a philosopher, you're a well thought out person, but you're not a Ger Taishav. A Ger Taishav has to be Kabbal Tzivuyim, and Tzivuyim are only from Moshe. I want you to understand it. So there's values which are Machaya, but you're not. Tzivuyim means a relationship. You have to accept that relationship. So you don't just have to connect to mitzvahs. You have to first and foremost do them because you have to. That's the alibi. It's called Kabbalah Malchus Shemayim. So now, the Rambam is saying you mitzvah lahaski yitzis shenemar laman tizkaz yentzes l'metzman kol yemei chayecha. That's true. So anyone ever tells you what's the difference between the mitzvah of Sipur Yitzias Mitzrayim and Pesach versus the mitzvah of the whole year? You look at him and say, yeah, what else is new? And my name is Mendel. Okay, you understand what I'm saying here? You probably heard that so many times with all the shticklich Torah. That's Zavshtiyot. Okay, Lo didn't even start. Okay, that's a biyasa b'kutcha. Okay, so don't say, oh, the reason the Rambam was a moiniv because the mitzvah won't be became la'asud lavoi because of not do it l'moisa Mashiach. You know they have that's the whole shtickle. That's why you're not moiniv the mitzvah because not la'asud lavoi and the Rambam's only moiniv mitzvah. Why doesn't bring it in the yad? So then this is where he brings it in the yard. I look at this and say, are you crazy? This is where he brings it in the yard. In a derech agav. What? You're not used to learning Rambam. So I don't think it can't be said. Don't look at me like this. Aren't you convinced? Forget all the history of the big black white beards behind it. There's no way it's true. If you're vakish as a emes, there's no way this can be true. So don't waste anybody's time and go weiter. It's printed and printed and printed and reprinted in every Yankel Barrel Haggadah. You know, there's also there's a Baal Shem Tov stories printed there too. Okay, that doesn't mean they're true. Okay, I don't think we should have this on video. Okay, they won't rehire me. Okay, anyway, so this is the Davar Pashut. So this is the Biyasa B'Kutchemi. That's what this means. Okay. So that's what now there's a new question on the table. So the Rambam says, okay, so there's a value here. The question is, why is that value so important to stick it into Kriya Shema? It's a value. And Midrabanan, they were Masakin, that's a Fushik Gemara. You know, the Chatchil, they thought of being Masakin to say Matoivu. The Gemara says, why didn't they put Matoivu in there? Is there some mitzvah to read Matoivu? Did you learn brachas a little bit? There's a whole shtickle Gemara. Which thing should they put in? They were going to say Matayva Alechi Yaakov. You know, the Nevuas Bilam. Is that also because it's not because Chis Mitzrayim? There's a lot there. You know what I mean? The Teretz says there's a value. There are values. They decided to put certain values which are negate the Kriya Shema. How do I know that? Look at the next piece of the Rambam. Rama writes, the kriyas shalosh parshios elu, last lines, al haseder, hua nikres kriyas shema. In other words, who says it's called that anywhere? The answer is because he started the Allah b'chol yoyim koyrim kriyas shema be'erev b'boker. Shenemar. And the mitzvah is likres kriyas shema. What is kriyas shema that you're mechuyev to be koyrei? Kabbalas ol shemachus shemayim, which is yichudai avosai v'teirosai. Kabbalas ol mitzvahs. And then we add also zechir yitzias Mitzrayim. Now, how does that fit? How is that part of kriyas shema? You understand the focus of Kabbalas yichudai and oil mitzvahs, which that's basically the key of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, as the Ramban writes, and the Sefer HaMitzvahs writes, that's the mitzvah of Kabbalah's Ol Malchus Shemayim, is the pasuk of Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Asher tzisicha me'etz Mitzrayim. Read Rambam, or read Ramban on Anochi, and read Rambam Sefer HaMitzvahs. That's the mitzvah of Kabbalah, knowing that pasuk and totally accepting it. It's a statement. I, whatever that means, the one that's Sinai, Yud Kei Vav Kei, whatever that means, Elokecha, your Lord, which extricated you from the land of Egypt, that you know me in a certain way. That whole iyun of that pasuk, that's Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim. And those are the kavanas of Kriyat Shema, Al Pidin. Okay? And that's what it's there. Now, obviously, that leads to oil mitzvahs. Once I am that, therefore, my word is the truth, therefore it's binding to do the mitzvahs. Granted. Then we add Yitzias Mitzrayim. What for? What is Yitzias Mitzrayim? Why is that part of that? That's the question on the table. Why is Yitzias Mitzrayim? Here we see the Yitzias Mitzrayim of what we do every day is in order to enhance, give depth, scope to our kiyum of the mitzvah of Anochi Havai Elokecha, which is the mitzvah of Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim. That's what this is doing. And the pasuk itself does it. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Asher tzisicha me'etz Mitzrayim. So what we're doing is doing it exactly the way the pasuk tells us to do it. What exactly is Yitzias Mitzrayim as a kiyum in Anochi Hashem Elokecha? That's the question. And that's what the Chazal is saying, that Yitzias Mitzrayim, or Asher Yitzias Mitzrayim, Liyosh Lechem Le'elokim, I took out in Egypt to be your Lord, okay? That's the mucker of our connection to Yichudai, Avosai, Talmudai, and Shara Mitzvahs. And what's that shot in the pasuk? But Kavanas Chazal is to take for granted that Yitzias Mitzrayim is the justification of Leman, Tizkuru, etc. That's why you wear tzitzis, because I took out of Egypt to fulfill these mitzvahs, and therefore please remember them. And I'm putting on tzitzis for you to remember this whole story. This seems to be part of Kriyat Shema, because this enhances your understanding of Yichudai, Avosai, Talmudai, and Kabbalas Ol Mitzvahs. And that's why I want to understand more what this is in light of the Haggadah Shel Pesach. Well, it starts with this. First and foremost, I'm going to read the psukim of the that deal with Yitzias Mitzrayim and juxtapose it to the Haggadah. I'm going to start, first of all, with that. You look at the psukim which deal with it, so let's start with source Vav. Pasuk is, V'haya ki yomru alechem bneichem ma avodah zos lachem. If you know your Chumash, what's that talking about? You have a Chumash here? Okay. That's talking about the mitzvah of Korban Pesach. Yeah, that's easier for me. And this has too many pages. Okay. So Shmos Yud Beis starts with the it's pasuk Chavav. Here it is. Vaya ki tavo la'aretz she'yiten Hashem lachem kasher diber v'shmartem et ha'avodah hazot. We're talking about the Korban Pesach. That means we do the Shechita and the Zrika, etc. Yud Daled, Erev Pesach. Fam Chatzos, ki yadu alechem. Vaya ki yomru alechem v'neichem ma avodah hazos lachem. We're talking about the Shechita and the avodah of a korban on Yom Yud Daled B'Nisan. Ma avodah hazos lachem. What is this service for you? What are you guys doing exactly here? What is it for you? Obviously, he's not doing it. He's obviously not a kohen. He's not doing Shechita and Zrika. Achila is done at night, so he's not asking the question. Then he's asking, "Ma avodah zos lachem," to you as a name, to you, because I'm not a kohen. I'm a minor, whatever it is. I'm not part of this. But the people here, the people are doing. You're all going around this. What's this for you? V'amartem, you will answer. V'zevach pesach hu la'Hashem asher pasach al batei bnei Yisrael b'Mitzrayim b'nakfot Mitzrayim v'batenu yitzil v'yikod ha'am v'yishtachavu. What did we answer? He asked, like, what exactly is this thing for you? And we answer, we're thanking God for saving our skins. God skipped over our houses and didn't let the mashkes come in and destroy us, and he saved us. Not the answer. That's pasuk number 1. Now let's understand carefully. I think I mentioned this once. There's one verb which is used for asking questions. It's called lish'ol. Lomar is not to ask, it's to say. It's a statement. When do you make a statement in language of a question? Or when you ask a question, but you really mean a statement, what are you doing? You're not asking, you're not expecting an answer, you're challenging. When I say, are you guys nuts? It means to say, you are nuts. Are you an idiot? It means you are an idiot. You don't know how to read? It means you don't know how to read. Right? I'm just telling my own statement, my own questions. I use that's when my cynical I'm challenging. That's what I'm doing, right? Okay? You don't know Pshat and Rashi. You don't know Pshat and Rashi. Okay, it's very simple, right? I know myself. Okay, what kind of person would say this to talk Avodas Hashem, say, is he asking a question waiting for an answer, or is he saying you guys are idiots? It's a cynical challenge. Ma avodas lechem. The pasuk doesn't say yish'al, it says vayomar. Ki yomru lechem b'neichem. They will say. That's presenting a statement. It doesn't say yish'al. He's not asking. He's not looking for answers. He's cynically challenging. And that's probably why the Baal HaGodah uses this man as a Rasha. The Rasha is not asking. He's stating through a question. It's called a challenge. It's not because the words lachem, eschem, and all those other funny things, which you probably all picked up in your commentary Haggadahs. It's very simple. From the word vayoimru versus yishalu. That's shot. Patience, in a simple way, okay? Now, it's interesting because here he gets a good answer. He is cynical, he is challenging, but we don't say, get out of here. No, you wouldn't get out. No. The Chumash is a bit more tolerant than the Baal HaGodah. Okay? What's the Chumash say? It says, son, my dear friend, you may be a heretic, but you're a mensch, and of course, at Tov you also understand. That's what the pasuk is saying. It says, you may not be into religion, but you know what gratitude is. This is an expression of gratitude to God that he saved us. Do you notice? That's what the pasuk says. He skipped over the houses when he inflicted the death on the Egyptians, and we were saved. That's a big word there. Okay? It's a debt of gratitude. That the biblical heretic was expected to at least be a bench, to have morals and ethics. Today, I don't know if it would apply. Maybe that's why the Baal HaGodah to change it. It was about a Talmud. They didn't have midas, it wouldn't work, so he uses something else. I don't know why, okay? But it's interesting that the Chumash gave an answer. The Chumash gave an answer even to the cynic, the religious cynic, challenges religion, but there's something that norms of morals he would accept. And it's expected to be, it would be perceived, at least as far as the Chumash, as a decent answer that he would somehow, he should know, or it should be answered. That's number 1. So that's pasuk number 1. Is that pasuk talking about the night of Pesach? No, it's talking about Yud Daled Nisan. That's the Zman Shchita. Ma avoda zois lachem. We're not even talking about the Achila. The Achila comes not even in this parsha. We're talking about the avoda. We're talking about the Shchitas, Rika, Kabbalah, Aktorah, etc. Achila is later. This has nothing to do with the mitzvah Vigat Lebincha of Leil Pesach. Pasuk number 1. Pasuk number 2 that you have in Source Zion, Perek Yud Gimel, starts with a broad mitzvah. Pasuk Vayema Hashem Ala'am Zechar Yom Hazeh. What's the mitzvah of Zechira? So remembering is not a mitzvah of pul; it's a mitzvah of implanting idea in your mind and keeping it there. That's what it is. The mice of Zachar is to implant it, educate yourself to remember a certain idea. Take it into your mind and remember it. True memory means live with it consciously, okay? Or at least enough that will govern yourself. I've heard the Gemara points out that why do we think there's an idea of expressing Zechira by Amalek? Because there's a drasha. It says Zachar means belev. How do we know bepeh? Because it says lo sishkach. Lo sishkach doesn't mean belev because you already told me Zachar. So lo sishkach means bepeh. That's a Gemara in Megillah, implying where it doesn't say something else. Stam Zachar is belev. The Rosh Taka writes in Tshuva la'alacha, but the reason we don't make a bracha on Sipri Yetzias Mitzrayim, because be'ikr it's a mitzvah shebelev. The mitzvah is a mitzvah shebelev. If there's a child, then you have to do it bepeh, to teach him. But if there's no child alone, he believes you're mekayim the mitzvah belev. Shuvas Harash argues with the Rambam. Right? And the Maral actually says the same idea. The Maral believes that even if you say it, if you're not saying it in order to, and implanting the memory in your heart, you're not mekayim the mitzvah. You know, just reading off things without creating a zecher is not the mitzvah. The mitzvah is the zecher. This may be a tzura of how to get there. It's like the mitzvah is simcha in Yom Tov. The steak or the meat, that's just a way of expressing or generating. The ma'isa mitzvah is believe. Right? That's why there's no bracha on Simchas Yom Tov, if you understand that. If you speak a bracha before you gorge, no? The mitzvah is believe. That's a tzura. That's a klal gadol. So the Rosh Taka says the mitzvah is zachar. V'iganta is just a tzura, which you don't always need. He taka thinks when there's no one to ask, you don't have to say. V'iganta is not independent mitzvah, it's a tzura of zachar. So first you Shuvas Harash. Okay, I want you to remember that, okay? You want the Maramukim? I have it. No, I don't have it. Not here. I'll send it to you. Okay? Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay? So that's one. That's Shuvas Harash. And the Maral also. At the end of Sefer Gvurus Hashem, he discussed, he doesn't bring the Rush, but he says the idea that you have to have Zechira B'Lev is the key of the mitzvah. Okay? So that's the mitzvah of Zachar, Siyam Yetziat Mitzrayim. How many mitzvahs are the product of that Zachar? That's a topic. If you read the pasuk in Chumash, it starts with Perik Yud Gimel, and it says, here it goes. It starts, Vaydaber Hashem Moshe Mekashli Kol B'chor Petah Korechem B'nei Yisrael B'adam B'hem Elihu. You know that, right? You say that, right? V'yemer Hashem La'am Zchar T'yom Hazeh She'yatzatem Mitzrayim. Remember the day. Is he talking about the night or the day? Just remember the day. It doesn't say when. You always have to remember it. Hayom atem yotzim b'chodesh Aviv. Vayakiv Hashem el Yitzchak Tani v'Chiti, etc. V'avatas avodas b'chodesh. First of all, that Zohar is the source of being Mekayim Mitzvahs Korban Pesach. Weiter, Shivas Yom Teichel Matzah Mashvit Chag Hashem is the source of the Chag of Pesach. Matzahs Yochel Shivas Yomim is the source of the Achilas Matzah. V'lo Yechol Chametz is the source of Chametz. These are independent mitzvahs, but they all are different developments of the Zohar. Okay? V'igata L'bincha is also a development of the Zohar, as I just pointed out before. These are all independent things which are developments of Zohar. Also tefillin, sheyad v'sharosh, a development of the Zohar. Okay? Leman, this I told you before, what do you put exactly tefillin on? Why do you have to tie Yetzias Mitzrayim to your head and your heart? Leman tiyas teres Hashem b'ficha. That's the idea. If you tie up tefillin to your head and your heart, you'll have teres Hashem b'ficha. Already we see the pasuk itself saying that basically that Zchiras Yetzias Mitzrayim will be a reason of why teres Hashem will be your conversation, be internalized. That's what it says. It says, what? These things, what? Yetzias Mitzrayim, there will be Leman tiyas teres Hashem b'ficha. Why? Ki biyad chazak Yetziach Mitzrayim. It's a pasuk. You say it, for goodness sake. It's in the tefillin, for goodness sakes. Okay, so here we already begin to see where this starts. The Yetzias Mitzrayim, the pasuk describes as the way of internally Yetzias Mitzrayim will create teres Hashem b'ficha. What will do that? Ki b'chayzik yad Yetziach Mitzrayim. I'd like you to tell me how you feel that because chayzik yad Yetziach Mitzrayim, your Torah becomes eternalized, that your natural conversation will be dibar tabam v'loy b'dvar b'teilim because it'll be teres Hashem b'ficha. Obviously, we're not putting in tefillin the right way. Okay? For Dashtet and Chumash, that's supposed to be happening. Let's try to understand what this is. All this will add up. I'm pointing out the problems when I just read Chumash. If I take Chumash seriously, like I take a rush in Gittin, so then it's got to make sense. It can't just say, Al Pichsidis, it's, Atzilus is kicking Bria, and all of a sudden Avram Avinu falls out with Midas HaChesed or something like that. Celestial car accidents don't work in Chumash. Okay? It's got to actually make sense. Then it says weiter, not finished yet. Now there's a new parsha. And there's a new parsha. This is already something else. In other words, that idea of Zachor finished, because now it's the parsha Psucha, a new parsha. The other thing which is found in Tefillin. What do we have to do? Va'avarta kol peter rechem la'Hashem. Kol peter sheger behema yel lecha ascharim la'Hashem. Kol peter chamor tivdeh b'seh, v'im lo tivdeh v'rafto, v'chol b'chor adam b'vanecha tivdeh. So we have this new concept of Kedushas HaBchorah, that we set aside our little lambs if they're firstborn for the Mizbeach. If we have donkeys, obviously God doesn't need donkeys. He doesn't like dumb donkeys. So he suggests will you please give me a sheep and you can take the donkey for yourself. Yeah, he has no patience for donkeys. Okay, I understand God very well, if you understand the metaphor. So what do you do? Listen, either you give it, if not, just behead it. Ich verstehe it. Also, so how can you do the donkey? So it's the never pasha. You behead it. That's what it says. Varafta, right? Put it on your cup next time, right? Vaya. Now, when the kid sees this, what are you doing? This nice little donkey, you're cutting off its head. Amadne mitzvah. What's machor mean? Tomorrow. Machor la'achar zman. Anybody who knows Chumash knows it means in the future. He's going to see this weird mitzvah. Did you guys ever go to a Pidyon Petach Chamor? Yeah, they sent him to the place of Adam. And what happened? Makes a lot of sense. It's an intelligent answer. We're doing it to express the Kedusha of Bchorah, which came because God set us aside by not killing our Bchorahs and killing the Egyptian Bchorahs. Very nice. This is the pasuk. Is this talking about Leil Pesach? No. It's talking about when you see a Petach Chamor. It doesn't usually happen on Leil Pesach. I don't think they do it then. Okay? So this doesn't do with Leil Pesach.
Is there a difference between this and the Korban Pesach where it says Yomu, but here it says the Shalfa?
Yes, you should ask that. Now, thank God something's happened. What's the difference? One is a question and one is a challenge.
Why here?
Because this kid isn't in Russia. He's in Istam. He wants to know. He doesn't ask intelligent lumdus questions. Oh, doesn't like this. He asks, like, what's this? Like, he's one of these guys that don't understand Judaism. So he doesn't say, what's the kavanah sari? He says, what's it dus? You know, I mean, it's like it doesn't fit. So that's a tam. And when that's a question like that, it's called tam in the Haggadah. You're a simple kid, which you're just puzzled. Not that you don't have a kasha, you don't have a shaila. You're puzzled. You'd ask why. You'd also be puzzled if you see the halacha of Petach Chamor.
Why isn't he just puzzled by Korban Pesach?
See, I don't. The Torah is describing different children. It's not the same guy. The Torah is describing a child which is cynical. The Torah is describing another child. They're different children. You'll see. You'll have them. You'll notice. Okay. Yeah, sure. You know, you're going to get it. Whatever. I hope you don't have all four, but you know, you're going to get that. Yeah. You know why the Chacham is next to the Rasha? Because any Chacham is also slightly cynical. Don't you know that by now? Okay, that's why he's next to him, right? So this is the this is all self-justification. This is all. So this is basically but it's the truth. You know, joking aside, it's the truth. Every Chacham, Rav Hutner. Amachaya. Okay, that's why he was my rabbi. Anyway, so I'm trying to say, so that's what you have here. So it's very clear. What's this? Is this talking about Leil Pesach? Nothing to do with it. Is he asking about the night of Pesach? No, he's asking about dumb jackass being dressed up with jewels. Okay, not at all. Okay, what are we answering? Are we answering Korban Pesach? Or are we answering Bchorah? So this isn't part of it. So it's also not Leil Pesach. Next pasuk. Dvarim, Perik Vav. So far, the only pasuk we have about Pesach proper is Vigat lebincha b'yemo ulema b'avur zos Hashem li b'tzeis Mitzrayim. Go back to Perik Zion, source Zion pasuk Ches. We didn't mention that one yet. Is that pasuk dealing with a question? No, there was no question asked. If you read the psukim before, not at all. It's part of the mitzvah of Zachar. It says Mitzrayim. One of the things that you're supposed to do, it says keep Yom Tov, don't eat chametz, eat matzah, and tell your children. Does it present a question? No, there is no question. No question is asked. It's a halacha of Haggadah. Now here it gets very interesting. What are we supposed to say? Bavur zeh. What does bavur zeh mean? Because of this. Well, the Mechilta learns that zeh means that in front of you is Pesach, Matzah, and Moreh. So we're talking about the Zman Achilas of Pesach, which is at night. You know that from the Haggadah. So what's bavur zeh? Because of Pesach, Matzah, and Moreh. Read every Rishon you want. It's because that we should fulfill the mitzvahs, for example, Pesach, Matzah, and Moreh that we're doing now. So bavur zeh means, why did God take us out of Egypt? L'kayim mitzvah. Rashi, Ramban, you name it. Ibn Ezra, take your pick. In order to fulfill, he took us out to fulfill his mitzvahs. He took us out for Kabbalah's Ol Malchus Shemayim Ol mitzvahs. That's where he took us out. Examples of the vivid mitzvahs in front of us, Pesach, Matzah, more, but lav dafka these three, because this is when we have to tell him, so we're doing a visual thing about this now. Rashi Mefush, Kigayin, mitzvah Yisrael, Kigayin, Pesach, Matzah, more. Why Kigayin? Why not Kigayin mitzvahs mezuzah? We're not talking about, now we're Leil Pesach, so I'm going to use the mitzvahs Hayyim. You don't need any, Shem Shmuel type of drushes for this. It's simple chumash. Okay? Now, that's interesting. That's the only pasuk which deals with Leil Pesach. And there's no question there at all. There's only a statement. V'yigadta. No questions. Where do we have questions? We have a challenge in Erev Pesach, which is pasuk, Perek Yud Beis pasuk Chavav. We have a question about Pidyon Petach Hamor and things like that happening in the middle of Tammuz. In Perek Yud Gimel, Pasek Yud Daled. And then we have another place where there's a question and answer, and that is Dvarim, Perek Ches, Pasek Vav. Once again, in context, what does it say beforehand? In Dvarim, Perek Ches, mamish the beginning, it says as follows. Here we are. So the pasuk. One minute. What am I doing here? There's a mistake. No, it's Perek Vav. Pasuk Chav. Perek Vav, Pasuk Chav, 18. Perek Vav, Pasuk Chav. It's Chanon. Where's the pasuk? Yeah, here it is. It's a new parsha. Stuma. We finished the first parsha. It's a new story. Ki yishalcha bincha machar leimor. Should your child in the future ask you a question? Ma edus v'chukim v'mishpatim asher tziva Hashem Elokeinu eschem. Obviously, this is the middle of Elul. And he wants to know, what he wants? He wants to know Shas? Go learn. What's he asking? So you can see from the answer what he's asking. What's the answer? Look at the answer. So the pasuk says you have it in front of you. V'amarta lebincha. Avadim hayinu l'farav Mitzrayim. V'yetzureinu Hashem l'keinu b'yad chazakah. V'yiten Hashem otot u'moftim dolim v'ra'im b'Mitzrayim b'farav b'chol beito le'eineinu. We saw those otot muftim. Translation of ot is a sign. Mofet means a proof. Signs and proof of his existence. Read the beginning of Parshas. You can look at that in the pasuk in source Hay. Vayem Hashem Moshe Bo'el Paro ki anich badit libo v'lev avadav l'man shiti ototai ele b'kiba, my signs. L'man teseper b'aznei b'ncho ben b'ncho et asher talamtu b'Mitzrayim v'tototai asher shamti bam v'yidatem ki ani Hashem. That's the goal. These are things to show you that I am God. So we understand, he's asking, we answer, listen, God put out these signs and these proofs of his existence in front of us. And then what happened? V'otanu hotzi misham. Why? Why did he take us out? Laman, the goal was, Havi otanu, bring us, Latet lanu et haaretz asher nishba l'avotenu. First and foremost, bring you to your homeland, to Eretz Yisrael. When we talk about the value, that seems to be a major goal of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Like, that's pretty heavy. Not enough. Vayitzavenu. Now, what are we supposed to do there? La'asot et kol hachukim ha'elu. These laws that you're asking about, V'yiras Hashem Elokeinu. This enhances yira. L'toiv lanu kol hayamim. These things are good for us. It gives us life as we experience it now. And therefore what? But why do we do it? Well, first of all, it means we're roy lekach. It's a tzedek. It's the right thing to do. It also means it gives us merit. Tzedakah tiyalanu. It's vayachshaveo lo l'tzedakah. But it said by Avraham Avinu. He did the right thing. Tzedek. Read Ramamar and Nevuch in the last parak. The tzedakah means to do the right thing. Okay? Utzedakah tiyalanu. Where we're doing the right thing. Ki nishma la'asot kol mitzvoteha, to heed these mitzvos. Lifnei Hashem Elokeinu kasher tzivanu. If that's the case, what was the question? What's the answer? The question is not what are the chukim, but what binds us to do them. Why are we doing them? And the answer is because we were in a bad place and God took us out and we realized who He is through the otot and mofsim. And therefore He took us out for the purpose, as we learned before, bavur zeh, to do the mitzvos. To come to Eretz Yisrael, and He taught us the mitzvos, and you know what? That's why He did this, and that's the right thing to do. It's nice to say we met Him, we saw, we realized what He said, what else is to do is the right thing to do. It's called Oises HaEmes, B'pnei Shua Emes. That's what this is. That's the lesson of that Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva, Perek Yud, Halacha Beis. We encounter the truth, and this is the right thing to do. So what is this? This is actually not a question of what are the halachas, for goodness sakes. It's just why. What are the theological background of why we're keeping this? I asked that question when I was 9. I told you we were walking back from shul on a Saturday night, and all of my friends, parents had left religion because of the Holocaust. They all had been survivors. And my dad wasn't like that. And I remember asking Dad, why are we religious? I remember asking that. Why religious? I mean, he wasn't there for you. I'm not going into his answer. I don't want to deal with it now. It's not important. But I asked that. I remember asking the same question. What for? Why? Same question. So this is actually a wise child asking the theological reason for Kiyum mitzvahs. What's the basis of my theology? And the answer is we encountered a guard at Mitzrayim, and what we encountered, we now understood it's the right thing to do. Not only is it right, we realize it's good for us. It's right and it's good. Now, obviously, these a lot of interpretation, explanation. This is like God's writing shorthand here, but that's the answer to the question. Has it anything to do with Leil Pesach? No. Is the question about the Pesach Matzah Mor? No. But what's the common denominator between everything here? In other words, the only pasuk which actually has a question are 2 psukim, 2 or maybe 3, which deal nothing to do with Leil Pesach. It's either a question which is actually a statement of a challenger, and that's dealing with Shchitas HaPesach, or it's a question of a simpleton dealing with Pidyon Petach Hamor, which is done in the middle of Tammuz, I guess, or this kid's probably an Elul, and he's asking for theological background of his Kabbalah Ol Mitzvahs, which got nothing to do with Leil Pesach. In all 3, these questions dealing with religion, of what connects us to religion, why we are doing religion, why we're doing anything, we always go back to Sipri Tzis Mitzrayim and use it in different ways. That's what we know. We know that the religious dialogue that we have is always going back to Sipri Tzis Mitzrayim and utilizing it to be the basis of justification of our religious lives. That's the common denominator between all that. And there we have interesting 1 challenge, 2 questions. When it comes to Leil Pesach, it's really interesting. There's no theological questioning, and you basically just remember the day of Egypt, which tells you to do all these different things. And it says, remember to tell your children that God took us out of Egypt because He wants us to keep mitzvos. So it says, read Rashi. Pesach Matzah. So before we go further, it's very clear that the common denominator between all these things is one thing only, if you look at it very carefully, and that is, normally, we always use Sipri Tzis Mitzrayim in different ways as a basis of our faith, of our observance. the whys, the whats, okay? That's the tool which God gave us to use, okay? Now, we have a mitzvah on the night of Pesach, but usually, interesting, the pasuk only brings these up as a reply to a question. It doesn't say there that we raise the question. Interesting. It doesn't say anything, I should educate my child. My father didn't have to start telling me answers before he asked my question. Interesting. The Chumash always asks asking or challenging. Sometimes he's a gutsy kid with challenge because he really has an answer, so we gotta cut his nose off. But we give him an answer. Okay? It's interesting, we give him an answer. The other kids, as soon as he shows interest, we answer. It's interesting because many times, and the reason is logical too, as an educator, if you have a question, then you really can connect to the answer. If I just tell you a svara, you put it in your notebook. That's what Rebbe taught me. Never give them an answer until their tongue is white from the question. Because then they'll contain it. They'll retain it. It's got to be dry. You got to go crazy. I'll hang you out to dry for a day before I give you an answer. Kabbalah and he was so right, it's crazy. It works. That's why you have to have shaila and tshuva normally. You know why? Because without a shaila, tshuva is just a vort that you say over for minor shul Torah, or say it, in a shalashudis in NCSY or something like that. It's a vort. Big deal. But when this answers a real question, you hear it. That's why it has to be derech shaila. But it's interesting when we deal with the fundamental issues of faith, we wait for questions, not because we're not going to tell you anything before you ask it. You want to rock the boat? No. We rock boats. Believe me, we rock a lot of boats, yeah? But the first way of rocking a boat is making you ask. You have to learn how to ask. That's olive base, okay? Once you ask, then I can give you an answer that you'll hop. Otherwise, you'll just put down some vort. They're saying like these vorts about the celestial car crashes or things like that. People are happy with that. It's the bechin of John Doe and Harry. Sigorsht. The Torah wants an answer to a question. Okay, Leil Pesach, we don't wait for questions. Leil Pesach, we go for the jugular. We go straight to the point. We don't wait for questions. That's the halacha v'yigata, even without a question. Do you prefer it should be a question, l'chatchila min adin? Yes. Midrabanan, derech shaila v'tshuva, also in Leil Pesach. That's not a deraisa. Derech shaila is petach hamar and dvarim, or erev Pesach. There's no pasuk of derech shaila in Pesach. Okay. Shtazazach. Forget the mitzvahs v'yigata even if he doesn't say. Okay. Because dafke Leil Pesach we introduce that. Where's my source? But you guys have to eat, so I'll see you tomorrow. Read the Sefer HaMitzvahs, okay? In Source Yud, we'll continue tomorrow. Maybe we should start a little earlier, like 11:30.